has a mindset where it punches below its weight. We have to punch not above our weight. We have to punch not below our weight. We have to increase our weight and punch proportionally.
ये हमारा सिद्धांत है, हम घर में घुस के मारेंगे.
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism.
नमस्कार, जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स. दिस इज आदि. हमारे साथ हैं ब्रिगेडियर ब्रिजेश पांडे, जो हमको बताएंगे कि भाई ये दिस इज द जमाना ऑफ फॉल्स फ्लैग्स. ना तक कि यूरोप के अंदर रशिया के अगेंस्ट में, ना तक कि ईरान के अगेंस्ट में, यहाँ तक कि वेनेजुएला के साथ में उल्टे काम, टू अ पॉइंट दैट इंडिया के साथ भी कुछ उल्टे काम होने की संभावना बहुत ज्यादा है. आज भी राजनाथ सिंह जी ने एक बड़ी क्लियर वार्निंग दी है पाकिस्तान को अबाउट सर क्रीक. एनीवे, सर क्रीक के बारे में मैं आपके साथ सेपरेट डिस्कशन करूंगा. बट सर, नमस्कार, थैंक यू सो मच.
नमस्कार आदि, और सभी दर्शकों को भी नमस्कार.
अमेजिंग टाइम सर. लोग मतलब लड़ाई जो भी करनी है उसके लिए अब आप इंसिडेंट्स क्रिएट करना शुरू करोगे. आज सुबह ही बाय द वे व्लादिमीर ज़ेलेंस्की ने फिर से न्यूक्लियर एंगल निकाला है. उसने बोला है कि भाई चेर्नोबिल न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट में रशिया पावर नहीं दे रहा है तो ये बंद हो जाएगा और ये फटने वाला है.
या
और ये हमेशा हो रहा है सर. कभी ड्रोन्स आ जाते हैं, कभी कुछ होता है. आज सुबह द फ्रेंच बोर्डेड वन शिप, allegedly calling it a black ship, and that ship was coming to India. French have boarded that today.
या सो आदि, ओवरऑल क्या हो रहा है कि वेदर स्टार्टिंग से फ्रॉम यूक्रेन टू मिडल ईस्ट टू अराउंड our areas, whether it is Nepal, Ladakh. So there is a lot of chaos which is happening actually, and it appears that it's all about madness, and it's all about the people who are actually kind of harnessing these potentials and exploiting these potentials. तो ऐसे लगता है जैसे कोई मेथड नहीं है. But actually, when I started looking at these things holistically, and over last couple of days, I felt that there is a different kind of strategy which is being adopted by US. Now, what has happened actually in past is, whether it was Iraq, whether it was Afghanistan, they committed foot on ground. Going back further in past, Vietnam was definitely one of those most disastrous kind of operation that they led. So what they have realized, that foot on ground is not something that they can afford. So that is one part of the whole thing. The second is that their economy also, because of the debt crisis and the overload which has actually happened, they have also decided that though we will keep creating chaos, we will keep creating conflict, but our strategy has to be such that it gets outsourced by the others.
कोई और करे.
Yeah. Thirdly, क्या हुआ है कि this is that era of multilateralism. So to a great extent, multilateralism आ भी गया है, और जो aspirations हैं countries के, उनको रोक पाना बड़ा मुश्किल है. तो इन सब चीज़ों को context में रखते हुए अमेरिका ने ये डिसाइड किया कि let us come out with a different strategy. So now this strategy which America is adopting is basically, one can term it, they may have some other name for their secrecy, but we can term it as compartmentalization and pressure. So I'll just explain this, what does this mean actually. So what they realized is that since there are certain powers which are aspiring and which will keep raising their heads from time to time, so let us, kind of divide the entire globe into three theaters. So one of the theaters is Eurasia, where the rival is, Russia, and the partners are all this EU, NATO, and all these people. So how to actually exploit them, and how to actually keep Russia in its place. So that is one. Second is, Middle East, where Iran and its proxies are the main, rivals. and they need to be taken into control. And the third is South Asia, where actually China is the one which is, the main rival, and which has to be controlled and which has to be managed. But out of, the partners or erstwhile partners or something, India also started talking about strategic autonomy. So rather than they feeling comfortable about India, they also probably had a compulsion to keep India into check in some way or the other, till such time there is enough pressure against India, and whether it is through tariff or whether it is through other pressures, till we are able to discipline India. So if I say in terms of strategy, so what is the strategy that they are adopting in Eurasia is basically kind of bleed and box Russia. Now, what do I mean by bleed and box? They launched Ukraine into the, पहलवानी के लिए यूक्रेन को खड़ा कर दिया साथ में. And the nature of warfare वहां पे जो हुआ वो सारा attrition warfare है. Definitely some strategic strikes and all those things like the one you are mentioning today. These kind of steps are also on, but it is more of a attrition warfare. So you keep bleeding Russia. So इसमें एक पर्पस ये भी है कि ये वॉर जो है ये रुकना नहीं चाहिए जल्दी, बिकॉज जल्दी अगर रुक गया तो फिर दोबारा से रशिया कंसोलिडेट कर लेगा. दे हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन सम एरियाज ऑलमोस्ट 20-25% ऑफ टेरिटरी ऑफ यूक्रेन. So if you take your mind back to 2022, in first 6 months actually Ukraine was in a better position because Russia's probably strategy, coordination and all those things, synchronization of forces and application of power was not all that good. So they felt, US felt कि कहीं ऐसे ना हो कि this war comes to an end. तो वो उसको चाहते थे कि चलता रहे. So that is how they actually continue to follow this. So this is one kind of trick that they are basically looking at arming Ukraine enough so that Ukraine can continue despite getting thrashed once in a while, if it is able to target Russia in a handsome way and create some kind of a motivation or some kind of a high point. So that is one. Secondly, जो यूरोप का ईस्टर्न बॉर्डर है उसको they are wanting to strengthen that eastern border. So that eastern border actually hardening is something which is happening. So in addition to those 8 odd combat forces which they had actually stationed at different places, what they realized is that the most critical element in terms of hardening is air defense. So whatever whosoever did all these air intrusions which are taking place and which are being talked about, so all these air intrusions are actually either orchestrated by some player, or it is actually happening. Irrespective of that, that is one criteria which is there. Now behind all this is also the game कि आपके जो partners हैं उनको आप field कर दो उसमें, और they are the ones who are actually committing boots on ground. They are the ones who are actually increasing their defense budget. And since all the equipment or majority of the equipment, ammunition, everything is going to be bought from USA, whatever is to be given to Ukraine. So, दूर से मैंने तमाशा देखना है और अपने weapons बेचना है, अपनी चीजें करना है, और ये लोग मतलब अपना लड़ते रहें, और ये लोग का जो भी है whatever situation keeps getting created. So firstly, these partners also will remain in their boots because of the threat, scare and fear and all that. They will not move out from the axis of USA, and thirdly, Russia will continuously keep getting weakened. So this is the kind of strategy that they adopted. Now this strategy also has a model for each of these theaters. They have a model, and I call that model as lock and outsource model. So what do I mean when I say lock? Locking is basically done through 3-4 things, where entire component of locking may not applicable in case of Europe and NATO countries. It is much more applicable in the other theater. When we go to Middle East, we'll talk about it. So what basically happens is that it is US equipment, US weapon systems, and primarily the overall command and control system which is in play. So if US takes out that command and control system, they will not be able to fight a coordinated battle. So US has locked them with respect to those. Secondly, US also locks them through bases. So it has got bases, irrespective of whether the bases are manned in major way by other countries. The core of that base is always with USA.
Yeah,
So USA basically controls that core. So it locks them with bases. It locks them with the weapon systems and various other assets, whether it is in terms of intelligence, whether it is in terms of ISR, that is surveillance, and various other things. Third thing that it also applies is diplomatic instruments to lock in. So these are the lock-ins which happen, and then thereafter what it happens is it basically outsources the fighting part to them. So US doesn't commit any boots on ground these days. Yes, it has replaced boots by bots. So it does that bots wala jo हम थोड़े दिन पहले बात कर रहे थे कॉग्निटिव डोमेन में, इंफॉर्मेशन डोमेन में, प्रोपेगेंडा एंड ऑल दोस एलिमेंट्स. तो बॉट्स डेफिनेटली वो फील्ड करता है, बूट्स इनके होंगे, और वेपन्स वो यहाँ से खरीदेंगे, यूएसए से खरीदेंगे, एमुनिशन यूएसए से खरीदेंगे. सो पैसा सारा ये लोग लगाएंगे. तो इफ यू रियली सी इन ऑल दीज थिएटर्स एज वी डिस्कस सब्सिक्वेंटली, so there are countries which are paying now with increased defense budget of European countries and especially NATO. You see the amount of money that is now getting pumped into the military industrial infrastructure now. So that is the kind of way that they have adopted. So this is as far as Eurasia and this particular theater is concerned. Now when we come to like China, let us take Middle East first, then we'll discuss briefly China and India. So in case of Middle East, basically in a major way, the lock and outsource is what is being played up. So what they are actually looking at is Iran should not be actually able to enhance its influence. So इसके influence में क्या है, basically kinetic capability का influence जो है, उसके लिए Iran was looking at that corridor, which it as of now it controls that corridor. Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Now, if Iran is denied this corridor, so neither will it be able to project its power, और ना ही इसके जो proxies हैं अलग अलग जगह पे, वो proxies काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. See the amount of missiles that were stocked in either Lebanon or Hamas could actually take that kind of a missile. So all this requires a land corridor actually. So US firstly wants to deny this land corridor so that Iran is not able to actually kind of create a situation when US and Israel and some of these Saudi Arabia and all, they get into a shocking kind of position. So that is one effort that they are trying to make. So all this game of Syria and whatever is happening, it's part of that only. So they are trying to actually squeeze in this corridor, and they are trying to another corridor that it looks at, especially Iran looks at, is through the Gulf, through the water body. So when you see across the water body, you have eastern coast of coast of Saudi Arabia, you have some other countries. So it is also trying to actually create, Iran is trying to create through Shia population. So if you really map the Shia population in these areas, you will find that Shia population is available in some of these areas, especially Saudi eastern coast is the Shia population which is there. And Bahrain is again a Shia presence there, and Bahrain also has the fifth fleet of US Navy. So it also presents a target also, and presents a means also. So both the things are actually available here. Now similarly, when you look at Kuwait is basically through proxies. And then finally, when you go to, look at the port access and all. So if you see some of these areas, they are not more than 200 to 300 kilometers actually, crow fly distance. So if the distances are 200 to 300 kilometers, if they have the ability to acquire targets dynamically, if they have the ability to direct or designate the targets, if they have the ability to actually carry out physical kinetic actions in these areas, then they can actually cause a lot of chaos. So this will become a counter chaos to what USA normally does. So this is another thing which it is trying to actually avoid. So overall, what they are looking at is, as far as Iran is concerned, contain Iran and exhaust Iran.
From all sides. जिस तरह से
Yeah.
geopolitics is kind of opening up, it's got a footprint in Pakistan, got a footprint in the oceans, it's got a footprint in that Syria region now,
Absolutely.
and वहां पर अजरबैजान में भी पहुंच गया सर.
Yeah. So ये तो necklace तो इन्होंने बना ही दिया with Pakistan coming into play. So they have already created the necklace. But the idea is also that it's not always by firing or attacking a particular country that you actually exhaust him. You just imagine, like in our case, if we keep moving one or the other strike corps, shaking it towards the border with Pakistan, what will happen? They have to mobilize the entire thing. So, see the kind of thing. So suddenly you, do the same thing in South. Then thereafter, you do something opposite to, Punjab. You do something, some one or division worth of force in J&K. If you keep doing this and keep alternating this, you are actually causing a lot of, problem. Firstly, monetary issues, then the forces get exhausted. And when actually something comes, actually they are bare and they are totally unable to actually counter that. So exhausting Iran and keeping it contained is something, part of the whole game. So as we go about various actions which have been taken, then probably it will become clearer. When it comes to Israel, the concept of USA is to unleash Israel and uske baad usko rokna. It's something like Qatar mein. They went and struck Doha, and thereafter, you come back, and then you have some element called as, deal making your forces. So your Oman and Qatar, they are actually deal making forces actually. So then you deploy one of them and then strike a deal. When you strike a deal, you are striking a deal which is harder than or much more stronger than the previous one. So what you do is, उसको और आपने अपने गेम में इंट्रेंच कर लिया. तो आपने स्ट्राइक किया दोस्त के ऊपर में, फिर इसके बाद कुछ किया, फिर उसके बाद so otherwise normally they may not have been able to do this. So this kind of a game they keep playing. When it comes to Saudi Arabia and Gulf, is basically arm them because they have the money. They have to be the buyers of the arms and all those things, and then bind them. So arm them and bind them. That is the kind of strategy that they are adopting with respect to these two elements. Then when it comes to Turkey and Qatar, keep them under check, keep using them as and when required. So this is the overall game in which they are engaging these people. So when I now talk about locking and outsourcing, then how does it all actually come up? So when you say locking, it is basically US has a security architecture in Gulf, Middle East, these areas. So locking them into the security architecture of USA. So you have CENTCOM there. So CENTCOM is the actually basic force which is controlling headquarters, which is controlling the nerves of all these yeah. So everything is whether surveillance, whether intelligence, whether your ISR targeting, whatever you need to do, it is this which is actually controlling them. So when you want to actually, their bases are all around. So whether it is UAE, Saudi, all these bases which we have heard of, Al Udeid in Qatar, then Dhahran in Saudi Arabia, then we have Camp Arifan in Kuwait. So all these places have their bases, and through their bases, they actually keep them hooked onto US assets. Then is system interoperability. So because most of the systems are actually ex-US, so they are interoperable, and in most of the critical and sensitive assets which are placed, वो चाहे भले ही एक हवलदार को आपने बिठा के रखा हुआ है, but US actually keeps physical presence in all these places, so they can't actually do whatever they want to do like that. Then all these accords which have been actually enacted in the past or in recent past, so all these accords also they bind them. Like I was discussing with somebody, a very senior gentleman. So what was appearing is the Abraham Accords, probably Pakistan would not have signed the Abraham Accords directly because it is outside the mandate of Abraham Accords that any outsider can actually get into it. So now you still want Pakistan to be part of Abraham Accords. So what did you do? You ensured that he signs a defense pact with Saudi Arabia. So through that pact, actually you have integrated Pakistan with all that. Now sometimes we wonder that what is it that Pakistan has? So basically, Pakistan has boots. It has soldiers to contribute.
एंड पटाखे सर,
Patake,
दिवाली
yes.
दिवाली के पटाखे हैं।
एग्जैक्टली तो ये चीज के लिए कि भाई हम फोर्स तो देंगे नहीं आपको, अब पाकिस्तान को भी चाहिए भाई, इफ यूएस वांट्स टू कीप पाकिस्तान ऑन इट्स साइड, इट हैज टू कीप फीडिंग हिम मनी, पैसे देना है तो यूएस तो देने से रहा पैसे. So there is a element called as Saudi Arabia which is going to actually give the money. There is a element called as US which is going to exercise control. Foot soldiers are going to be from so and so place. So likewise, you kind of lock them also, and then you outsource the entire conflict, and you keep playing. You don't allow them to sit in peace. You keep doing this patakhe wala system or jitna bhi is tarah se. So this is the kind of play up which is actually there. So as I said, compartmentalize and pressure, create the pressure, then lock them and outsource the entire conflict. So operations mein US will not enter. Operations will be conducted by the locals. So you have a workhorse in Middle East called as Israel. So Israel will keep doing this. Similarly, you have created a workhorse in Eurasia in the name of Ukraine. So usko aap push karte rahoge, usko karte rahoge, it is getting destroyed. And when suppose by chance, by any fluke, if the war ends, then you get on to the other mode of earning money, and that is reconstruction. So chaos, destruction, reconstruction, these are the three steps which are played in a very cyclic manner, and US wants to actually keep benefiting from this. So this is the overall game plan which I feel that it is actually
इसके अंदर एक और पॉइंट है सर, the sheer fact कि there are only 3-4 powers that can challenge the US, not individually abhi, but as a combined force, at least they can challenge, and even 2 of them out of the 3 are good. 3 out of 3 are pretty good. The issue is that when we see US इस time पे, he sees only 3 main people: Russia, India, China, as competitors. अब ये तीनों को फंसाने की कोशिश करेगा सर. आपके सामने पाकिस्तान की आग जला दी उसने.
It is on. So they are using different strategies for these two also, China also and India also. Now, in my understanding, what is the strategy that they have adopted against China? China के against में इन्होंने adopt किया है, which I name it as hedge and hobble. So basically secure, by hedging against China, and then keep playing up, things so that it remains totally in that mode, so that China doesn't actually grow with the speed and acceleration that it is actually growing or it has been growing. So what you need to do is you need to primarily check its growth, check that acceleration which it had acquired, so that at least for next 10 years it doesn't stand eye to eye with USA, and it is not able to contain. So this is the basic strategy as far as China is concerned. So what they have done, they have made this 55% tariff plus export control. Now this export thing, which I would deliberate a little bit more with respect to both Russia as well as China, because it is applicable in both the cases equally. Now what they have done is 2 days back they came out with some other document also with respect to these sanctions and all that. So what primarily is appearing is they are not actually looking at adding any more sanctions, but what they are looking at is basically ensuring compliance of that. So enforcement of these sanctions is the one which is now the focal point as far as they are concerned. So I'll tell you with respect to Russia, say they imposed sanction on the sale of oil. Now what these countries have done is, over a period of time, they have got lot of counters to all this. So what are the counters? So you have shadow fleets. So there are 183 shadow fleets which have been banned now. Similarly, when you talk about trade in terms of other things, so what happens is those people or those companies which are enablers of that particular thing, like in case of Russia, when you look at oil, there are two major companies basically. So those two major companies are the ones which are controlling most of the oil production, most of the actually movement of all this oil. So there is a company called as Gazprom, and there is another one which is Surgut Neft. This is the kind of name. Now both these companies together have 30 subsidiaries. So what had happened is you banned these two. Yeah, you banned these two, but you did not ban the other two, other 30, balance 30 of them. So what was happening is, and through all these shadow fleets, the thing was going as usual. So you have put restrictions, you have put sanctions, you have done anything, but sanctions are not effective. And that is why, it is something like, in military terms, we say, कि अगर आपके हाथ में एक weapon दे दिया जाए, एक revolver दे दिया जाए, मान लो, pistol, which has a range of 10 meters या 15 meters, तो 15 मीटर के बाद तो फिर दुश्मन खड़ा होकर ताली बजाएगा. So you are kind of using a weapon which is not effective. So this is what actually happened. So now the focus is similarly they have also included in the ban and other things those sensitive service providers. See, there are all these refineries and this production and all this system is based on a lot of sensitive and critical activities which are taking place, and there are service providers who are actually doing all this. So they have actually put a ban on them also. So likewise, then there are opaque traders actually. Now these opaque traders are also the ones who were doing business, but it was not actually getting to be known कि ये किसका oil जा रहा है, किसके पास जा रहा है. So all that was happening, and they were not able to manage that. Likewise, when you look at China was supplying all those things. China again has got hundreds of entities, companies. Like some time back, a lot of shell companies were coming into news in India. So they are not shell companies as such, but they are subsidiaries of Chinese companies. So what is happening is they have control over these companies in terms of shares. So they are having more than 50% share in those companies. And then, their product is going to the same country, USA, but not directly through China. So it is coming through a third party, fourth party, and that kind of a thing. So what has happened is this time, USA has made an entity list, which has been enlarged manifold. So I think more than 100 odd entities have been added into it. And they have set a rule that any company wherein China has got a share of more than 50%, that will be included in this entity list. So they have kept it fluid also in a way, and they will keep adding, and maybe at certain point of time they may actually further make it stronger if they feel that it is not getting effective. So these are some of the measures which have been taken as far as trade checks and all these sanctions and other things are concerned. Now, when you talk about India, so what is the problem with India? India के साथ problem ये है कि ये India को discipline करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन divorce नहीं करना चाहते. ठीक है? So this is
यार, please मेरे को alimony दे दो, मैं जा रहा हूँ.
So इन्होंने क्या किया कि ये टैरिफ लगाया आपके साथ में.
बच्चा भी है सर हमारे पास, तो चाइल्ड केयर भी चाहिए हमको. बच्चा भी है साला पाकिस्तान, उसके पीछे चाइल्ड केयर भी चाहिए हमको.
Exactly. So इसमें इन्होंने क्या किया, but they want courtship also कि डिफेंस के में कर लो, थोड़ा सा वो कर. So this is how they are actually looking at. There is a criticality as far as USA is concerned. They don't want India to actually tilt towards China or tilt towards Russia, but they feel that there is still room to pressurize India. और ये उन्होंने इंडिया के साथ एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया था कि स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी पहले लिप सर्विस होती थी So that lip service is going to get hardwired in the mindset of the leadership here. So that is what they didn't expect, and that is how thoda sa things have gone off balance. But again, to keep the pressure on, they went into that bot mode, and they created ये जो भी आपका नेपाल है, श्रीलंका है, ये सारा. So ये पूरे chunk को, because they are also hedging against India. Hedging, why I am saying hedging against India? Because they are thinking कि अगर इंडिया इस तरह से सरप्राइज कर सकता है हमको कि सडनली स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी एंड नॉट लिसनिंग टू अस, हम कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, इंडिया इज ट्राइंग टू काउंटर एंड गेट अवे विद इट. सो अगर ऐसी सिचुएशन आती है तो वी हैव टू प्रिपेयर फॉर हार्डर situations, creating harder situations. So while it may look that they have just taken over the powers, given powers to the man who is very favorable in Bangladesh, or they have done certain things in Nepal, they have done certain things. These things have not died down actually. So their capacity building is going to start now, or it has already started in Bangladesh. So likewise, one is countering Chinese, assets there. But more importantly, ये जो game है इनका protest वाला, chaos वाला, so this is something which is going to get hardened in this area. So that is the area where we have to be more careful about, because this will continue, and it will bounce back, or it will come back to us in more different ways, whether it is internally or otherwise in the neighborhood. So this is the kind of play up which is happening.
It's really really interesting when you say that when you say that this entire set is there, but इसके अंदर there's a big flaw in this plan, sir. Plan अच्छा है. The flaw is that जो आपकी calculation है is that all these people are vulnerable, which is anybody is vulnerable that ways, but they will not act and they will not react.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. So that's where these guys are going wrong. If you actually see wherever they've started this stuff, it's falling flat. I mean, look at Argentina, sir, for that matter.
Yeah.
उन्होंने इतना build-up करा मिले को. Millet was Millet. Oh, he's scrapping the government. He's doing this. He's doing that. इसने काफी वो सब करा. Now look at where Millet is, sir. He's coming to the America with a bloody begging bowl and asking for $20 billion.
Yeah.
So, there's the propaganda value and then there's the reality. Now, the leftist Democrats in the world have already lost it.
Yeah.
The point is, if this group also loses that thing, then who does the world trust?
Yeah. That problem is definitely there. They are not concerned as of now. If you see, they are not concerned about the credibility part, because all such structures are actually getting dismantled. So that part
isn't that ironic? Sorry, I'm just going to argue with this point a little bit. Isn't that ironic, considering Trump is saying, I am the deal man? You can't be a deal man unless you have credibility.
Absolutely.
So it's a direct. I mean, ये तो पूरी तरह से उल्टी बात कर रहे हो. एक तरफ, I mean, if you look at it, their plan is not to work with that global credibility system, which is the old system.
Yeah.
Right. ट्रम्प साहब सब कुछ उल्टा पुल्टा करेंगे और वो अपनी उसके ऊपर करेंगे. अगर भाई credibility नहीं है तो ट्रम्प को भी कौन ट्रस्ट करेगा फिर?
Absolutely. See, the biggest problem in this entire thing is, while they wanted to counter deep state. They wanted to actually dismantle some of it, but deep state, being deep state, it is too deeply entrenched to be dismantled. That is one. Secondly, when you are creating turbulence all over in the entire world, just thinking that we will be able to succeed in it, and you don't have the kind of assets and infrastructure and the real partners, who are going to support you, then you are surely going to fall flat. But then this is the way they are actually looking at, and they are thinking that even if we can manage one by one, like say for instance, today, if you see, the biggest focus is on Middle East. They know that we have done certain things in Russia, against Russia, and if we थोड़ा सा boost कर दें अगर Ukraine को, तो that fighting will continue for some time. So what they are doing is they are creating chaos at one place, continuing with the chaos, and now taking a breather from there and trying to focus at some other place. That kind of coordination is not very easy and not very possible. And you may have actually forced Pakistan to sign a deal with Saudi Arabia. But when Saudi Arabia starts getting the fruit of all this, because say even a country like India, if you start acting against all those issues from which Saudi Arabia has been benefiting vis-a-vis India, so what will happen is that loss will start accumulating.
Yeah.
Likewise, why should anybody fight the war which doesn't belong to that particular country? So likewise, but only thing is it is too much of transactional thing which he's doing. Whatever security guarantees US was supposed to provide to Middle East, they want to suddenly withdraw everything. They want to actually stand away from it, and they want to outsource it to others. And that is how he's attempting. Say, for instance, even if he doesn't succeed, he thinks. My understanding is he probably thinks there is no harm in trying. I mean, then in case it doesn't work out, we will see how it works out. So even if we are able to go halfway, even if we are able to go 25% way, probably it is going to be a gain as far as USA is concerned. Because otherwise, in all these conflicts earlier, US had boots on ground, US had money, the funding and all the kind of funding it had done in Afghanistan. And for what? Their interests were not actually getting materialized.
It
So
was
I
not
think
the interest of the US, I think they went for, no? It was the
Yeah.
interest of other people.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of it. And, there's also another fata to it that a lot of people think that, oh, US is peaceful and this and that. We'll talk about that. Somebody's asked a comment about that. I mean, but let me just say this. There are a couple of cities in US. By the time we come to that question, we can, you can research about this. Portland, Oregon is a war zone right now.
Yeah.
They're firing bullets at each other.
Absolutely.
आइस के ऊपर गोलियां चला रहे हैं लोग रूफटॉप्स पे बैठ के. ठीक है, तो they are snipers. There are street protests by Antifa, which is, by the way, a terrorist organization currently in US. So
Yeah.
picture this, अमेरिका के अंदर इस टाइम पे एक टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है.
Absolutely.
इट्स लाइक हमने जब स्टूडेंट्स एसएफआई बैन किया था, 2 दिन के बाद एसएफआई वाले झंडा निकाल के प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं सड़क के ऊपर. दैट नेवर हैपेंड इन इंडिया.
Yeah.
कांट, वी नो इट व्हाई. डंडे मार मार के सीधा कर देंगे उनको, बट
Yeah.
वहां पर नहीं है. इट्स अ वॉर जोन बॉस इन आई थिंक 45% ऑफ द कंट्री. So we are very sensitive to what's happening with us in terms of a protest in Ladakh or something here and there. Please, for God heaven's sake, look at what happens in their countries. Look at what happens in London every weekend. Saturday, Sundays are impossible.
Absolutely. You see, they are investing. If you start investing in these areas, like if there is no control over drugs, if the weapons are available, if youth is unemployed, and even if it is employed, it's not about the salary that you get, even if it's a fat salary that you get at the end of the month. The satisfaction level, the family systems, the bondings, you may have created all these new fundas of genders, new fundas of freedom and so many things. But what it has done is actually fragmentation of the society. So now when you do all these things, the byproduct is this, and which is in plenty, whether it is in UK,
Crazy.
whether it is USA, it's crazy actually. And it is not, Indian culture, which is still binding us. Why is it that we get a flash of certain things, whether it is Ladakh, whether it is in various other areas, but we are able to control it quicker because the society is still there. There is still parent system which is there. There is still the concerned कि बगल वाला देख लेगा तो क्या बोलेगा.
नेपाल में
तो
हुआ था ना, एक
हाँ,
वो 12th क्लास का लड़का मेरे ख्याल से वो प्रोटेस्ट में था. His mom came with a stick. She whacked him on the legs. कान पकड़ के
exactly,
खींच के गई उसको वापस. चल तेरा कोई काम नहीं है. And
exactly.
that's the that's the reality of the game.
Yeah,
That
so
there is a certain thing for the elders which is there, which is not there in America at all.
absolutely,
वो तो है ही नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. कोई सीखना भी नहीं चाहता वहां पर.
absolutely.
तो वो पॉइंट की इनकी अपनी हिस्ट्री इतनी खराब तरह से लिखी है इन लोगों ने. हम लोग क्रिब मारते हैं हमारी, यार इनकी 250 साल की हिस्ट्री है. उसमें भी आप नॉर्थ साउथ से पूछोगे तो नॉर्थ वाले कुछ बताते हैं, साउथ में कुछ बताते हैं. उसके बाद 9/11 और बिग इंसिडेंट्स की हिस्ट्री पूरी उल्टी है भैंस की. अब पता ही नहीं किसी को कौन क्या लिख रहा है. अभी वो टकर कार्लसन बैठा हुआ है, दो सीरीज निकाल चुका है on 9/11 truths. There are 2 25-minute shows on it on 9/11 truths. When you watch that, you're like, यार ये क्या बात. I mean, what is it? Seriously, this is a country. Like one of the biggest mysteries for that is the building number 7, which was 100 yards on that side, and that thing just fell without any impact, without any damage to it. वो गिर गई.
So that
So a lot of
means it
people ask that
was
question,
already
how?
prepared to fall
Yeah,
even before anybody strikes.
sir, I mean, explain to me now how a building 100 meters away from there falls.
Yeah,
There's no possibility of it.
absolutely. So it is basically because of all these
They create
factors.
chaos to
Yeah.
control the world, and then
Absolutely.
kind of when they're able to control the world, then they create further chaos to break it down and rebuild it as they feel like it.
See, when you create chaos for a third party, say, even if for a third party you are creating a chaos, some chaos is going to seep into your own territory, your own people also. It doesn't happen. That is why a few years back people used to say, okay, if a country supports terrorism in another country, after a certain amount of time, it is going to actually, that snake is going to come back and going to bite it. What is happening with Pakistan? They probably thought that we have actually been manufacturers of terrorism right from Afghanistan days, when they wanted to dislodge Russia from there. Thereafter, they thought they will divert it to Kashmir and all this will happen. But you see, internally, when it starts breeding, actually, then the bulk of it comes to you. So similar is the situation for USA. When you are doing all these things, you say UK, all terrorist organizations, everybody who can be termed as bad, whether as an individual or organization, gets shelter there in UK. So maybe that, if Vijay Mallya goes to a country, after escaping Indian legal system, what do they think? He's going to create a very pious environment in and around where he is. He's going to create the same muck what he did here in India. So if you keep adding these kind of things, then you are adding to the chaos of your own country. So ये तो गेम बहुत ही शॉर्ट लिव्ड होता है.
I mean, it's short-lived to sir alag hi hai, but I don't know what they kind of plan to do out of this.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. There's a old symbol which is based on this, and I'll just show it to you. Just a second, sir. It's uploading. Yeah, here we go. It's Odro Ab Keo, which means order out of chaos.
Yeah. See, this is what they have been practicing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've discussed this before.
Yeah,
And this is the paradigm.
absolutely. But you see, what had happened earlier is, all this deep state and all these, mechanisms which had been created over a period of time, they probably had, machinations, they probably had the instruments to still exercise control and maybe create some order out of it at certain point of time. But abhi kya ho raha hai ki you are following a particular philosophy, but you don't have the wherewithal for that. So even before having a wherewithal, you start, launching the same kind of activities. So
Yeah,
this is the biggest actually tyranny as far as today is concerned.
indeed, sir. चलिए, let's take some questions. सबसे request है,
Yeah,
वीडियो को like करिए, subscribe करिए and share this with your friends and families. And of course, आज बहुत अच्छा दिन है, so let's you know learn about something good. In the night, we will talk about सर क्रीक, जो आज राजनाथ सिंह जी ने बड़ा जबरदस्त झटका दिया है, जो थ्रेट मारा है पाकिस्तान को. वी विल टॉक अबाउट दैट. आई विल शो यू द रीजन एंड क्या क्या पाकिस्तान कर रहा है, तो उसके बारे में भी हम बात करेंगे. सो प्लीज, इफ यू कैन कंट्रीब्यूट टुवर्ड्स द चैनल, क्यूआर कोड, पेपैल, सुपर स्टिकर, सुपर चैट्स और बिकम मेंबर्स. लेट्स सी. Okay, Akshit Tyagi ji and Bhushan ji, thank you so much for becoming members. Jai Hind, Jai Nagaland, thank you. Why a 50-year-old model with Pakistan is using H-125? Taken up by, oh, the helicopter. Yeah.
yeah,
It's not being used by Pakistan, that this thing. And secondly, dekhiye, it's about filling up your search and rescue and all that as well.
yeah,
High altitude regions के अंदर you need to have helicopter services and you need to have search and rescue operations also happening. So
yeah.
you can call it military use, but it is semi-military use. It won't
Yeah, there are
be
certain facilities
certain.
which are outsourced to civilian resources actually.
Yeah.
So sometimes because you don't want to employ your resources, they are not
Medivac.
costing that kind
Yeah.
of. Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, let me just say this in all honesty, this is a fantastic helicopter. H-125, it is, I think one of the best helicopters that Americans have made. Sorry, the Europeans have made, not
Yeah.
Americans, Airbus. This is a fantastic helicopter. It's been serving in places, it's like the C-130. C-130 1949, 50 में पहली बार ही उड़ा था. But
Yeah, and
today
it's
also the
still
design,
continuing.
the aircraft is so good that people just don't want to change it. Some
Yeah.
models are like that. It's just, they're just timeless. वो वैसी ही हैं. Like the Mi-17. Sir, आर्मी वाला जो Mi-17 है,
Absolutely.
वो पता नहीं कहीं 60 साल पुराना डिजाइन है वो. चली जा रहा है. Mi-8 था, वो Mi-17 कर दिया, चलो ठीक है.
Yeah.
है तो Mi-8 वो.
Yeah, and logistic side में IL-76 देखो.
Fantastic aircraft, sir. B-52, you look at it, I mean, it's been on since so long. Rashmi ji, thank you. How long will USA keep up the game? Till the US collapses? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that this turbulent time is going to settle down, whether in favor of USA or against US interest. But since so much of churning is happening, multilateralism, then emergence of certain regional players, kind of pacts which are getting signed. So all these things will take time, but I personally feel that maybe another 6 months time, certain amount of settling down will start happening. And
It has to. These guys don't have the capacity to do it.
absolutely, they are already facing a lot of pressure actually, and that is why they are entangling a lot of other countries into it, outsourcing that term which I was using.
There you
so
go.
I think
That's what Gopalakrishna ji says. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. He says there's one country in the world that fights wars which has nothing to do with its own national interest. That country is the world's biggest PMC called Pakistan.
Yeah, true. You see, there was one more element, Adi, which you were mentioning in the morning. This mobilization of tankers which are taking place. So that is
Iran?
also, yeah, Iran.
हाँ, हो रहा है sir. I mean, I'm not kind of putting my neck out and putting a prediction or something like that, but it does look like before October and November, you will have some sort of a fracas in that area. It
Yeah.
does seem like it.
Yeah. Firstly, two aspects. Why they have brought in tankers rather than bombers first. Because when you push in bombers, then it provokes very quickly.
Almost already है ना sir. देखो गार्सिया में बैठे हैं.
Yeah, they are sufficient in number already there.
Okay.
Now, this particular kind of number that they have brought in here is probably indicating very sustained kind of operations, very
Yeah.
deep kind of operations,
Yeah,
and which are likely to continue for a period of time. So even if you at any point of time you are using 1/3 of the resource at any point of time, it should be enough to. So that is sounding something big. But yes, maybe a couple of months it will unfold.
Guys, there is no clash between India and Turkey in the Mediterranean, okay? That's fake actually. Seema ji has a very important point, sir. I must say, Seema ji,
Yeah.
thank you so much. She says, sir, you're wrong. US invades country to spread democracy and freedom. It's a shame people don't understand their good deeds. I hope you change your views.
Yeah. Actually, that is also, all these, good phrases, good words, they are also
Comment of the
aimed at something.
day.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
God.
like, when you look at issue like human rights violation, they used human rights violation
Yeah.
to control countries. And why did they do it? Because they did not have such kind of things, because industry तो थी नहीं, सारी outsource कर दिया इन्होंने.
And it
So
doesn't
वो
work today, so they've switched it to tariffs. Nothing else.
absolutely. इसी तरह से आप देखो लेबर लॉज को देखो. So all these nice sounding words, liberalism, democracy, all this is not what they practice actually. This is what they preach.
Yeah. Babarika ji, thank you. Say, is it time Mexico gets an invite to BRICS? Oh, bhai. Melania likes Trump, yeah. Let him be. Chill.
Yeah. But I think by the time we hold BRICS, some more surprises might appear.
Something will happen because this time now the
Yeah.
BRICS is ours, so we'll do something funny.
Absolutely.
Gopal Krishna ji, thank you. Prosperity and global dominance was the glue that held together the United States. What happens to the unity as they lose both in coming decades? Become a Christian nation. That's what they're going to.
True.
Correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
No, it is right. Actually, they are going to become a Christian nation, and this conflict, ideological conflict, is going to continue even if disintegration or whatever happens. But it is definitely going to change this entire demographic thought process of USA.
Yeah. Does USA have an exit strategy in Russia, Ukraine? They ran away from Afghanistan and left their weapons.
You see, this time they are not directly facing the brunt. So
That's the
at
reason
any
why.
point of time, if this happens, then they will create business out of that also, because even if 20% land as territory is taken by Russia, they will probably try and broker in a way that they get something out of that 20% also. So they will probably have a deal for minerals or something from the Russian front also. And of course, Ukraine में तो चल ही रहा है. यूक्रेन का तो ऑलरेडी इनकी डील्स चल रही हैं, and they are trying to say that we will fund the companies, and then whatever is the outcome of that company, 50% will go out to us, 50% will remain here. So a lot of this सौदेबाजी वाला जो काम है वो चल रहा है अभी, एंड ये उसी टाइम पे रुकेगा यूक्रेन वॉर जब यूएस को बेनिफिट होगा इसका. Otherwise, they will keep pushing it. They will continue it. After all, I mean, now destruction also has lost meaning as far as Ukraine is concerned.
तो सर रोज ठुकता है अभी तो, मतलब it's like a daily affair. I mean,
absolutely.
Wake up, get banged. The EU is going to destroy itself in the Ukraine war just to keep America happy. It's the other way around actually, Abhi. EU was happy till colonial money was flowing in. Now they don't understand hard work and financial crisis. Actually, I have a little difference of opinion here. In the sense, it's America started that thing. But Europe knows if this thing stops in Ukraine, America will leave Europe. So today it's in Europe's interest to actually continue the war. Having said that, as Iran heats up, America will also have an interest in continuing the war. Hence the Tomahawks.
Absolutely.
So that they can,
so that dynamics is changing. But one thing which I feel very strongly is probably EU would like to achieve some sort of distancing from America, because it is not serving the EU, economically, and the kind of commitments which they are forcing these countries to make. How are they benefiting from that kind of equation? Till such time they were providing security umbrella, it was fine. It was still understandable that we don't have to spend money for security and defense and all that. But now when you are forcing them to actually have their own systems and their own assets, so all that US is doing is selling weapons to them.
बिकाऊ लोग हैं सारे. प्रॉब्लम साहब कहते हैं with Trump administration trying to escalate with Modi government every day, will we see a direct retaliation from the center? If we see significant play in geopolitics, we should assert a few. Do you know, by the way, they've taken a U-turn already on pharma tariff. There's no more 100% pharma tariff. That's gone.
Yeah. And I think this time when the team had gone for negotiation, again they have rejected whatever they were trying to do. So this will happen. This is not that boxing where with one punch you can actually declare the team or the person winner. So this will continue for some time because nobody will take a U-turn so easily. So probably they will come to terms, but like last time you were mentioning, maybe by November end is something that period that we should be looking at.
Patriotic. I'm wondering, will America try to do something sinister when Mr. Putin is in India in December?
I think
hashtag new fear unlocked.
Uska ulta hoga, because when Putin comes, maybe America might be expecting something to happen which they could not do, they could not achieve.
Yeah.
So I think they will not sabotage that visit. They are looking forward to that in case during the same time frame if Zelensky also comes. So you never know, some kind of outcome.
वो तो सर फिर मैं धरना लगाऊंगा जाके. I'll go to United Nations and put a dharna. Modi ji for Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobel Peace Prize, yeah.
Okay. मैं वहां पर वो जहाँ पे भी है, कहाँ है United Nations? न्यूयॉर्क में ना.
And Aadi, the way things are now unfolding even in Pakistan, you see today what is happening about Palestine, जो उनके पार्लियामेंट में हो रही हैं चीजें जैसे भी है, you never know. Even Asim Munir also kind of proposes for Modi ji to get a Nobel Prize. जल्दी होने वाला है थोड़े टाइम में.
Last one, Babarka ji, once again, thank you. Can we send a few JNU and JU folks to USA? California मांगे आजादी. अरे नहीं अभी नहीं भेजना, अभी तो वहां पर आरएसएस की मार्चेस चलती हैं. अभी ठीक है. अभी नहीं. JNU नहीं, वो AMU से भेजते हैं. वो वाले हैं.
और भी कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं अभी.
हाँ, JNU में तो अभी थोड़ा वो अभी तो मार्च ये वो जय हिंद वहां पर बड़ा. JNU का सॉफ्टवेयर has been updated pretty well.
Yeah.
Just check who please do check who the head of JNU is, and then you'll realize why stuff is happening. All right, sir. Thank you so much for that. Wish you a great Dashara, and all of us.
Thank you, Aadi.
God bless all of us in this great country. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.
And happy Dashara to all the viewers.